I'm very honored to be here today. I think we have heard a lot in this presentation, in the presentations here about digital payments. Sabay is a company that has been in digital payments for a long time because we are one of the largest publishers of content in Cambodia, and one of the biggest challenges that we have is collecting money throughout all of Cambodia. So as it has been discussed in this conference, digital payments is right now a very hot topic, and Cambodia has very enthusiastically embraced digital payments, which presents a challenge. And I hope in this presentation today we can present the solution that Sabay has developed to address that challenge. Start? Okay. First of all, what is the problem? The problem simply is for us that we need a solution in Cambodia to be able to collect micropayments from hundreds of thousands of people. One of the challenges in Cambodia is that if you would like to get paid, you have a very large variety of solutions to serve you. One of the challenges with that is, of course, that each of those is a separate solution that you need to implement into your network by yourself. As of today in Cambodia, we have over 20 mobile wallets, we have 40 plus retail banks, and we got 70 NFIs. As a provider of content, I would like to get paid regardless of where the customer have money. I just want to offer a solution to the customer, please pay me. However, if you look at the availability of options, it becomes quite a daunting task as a content provider to actually implement with all of those and to make it work. Because not only does each of them have a different technology stack, but you also need to move your organization itself onto different providers and work out a solution for settlement, for training of your IT staff, for training of your internal handling with customer support. And all of that takes time that many startups simply don't have. So we have been long and hard thinking about Sabay what we can do to build a platform to make it easier for content providers and for merchants to actually get digital payments. Now, we don't make that situation worse by saying that we are not a payment provider. We are not. So we don't want to basically, we are not another payment provider or a payment gateway or an aggregator or a merchant aggregator. We are a public ledger service. We are trying to define a new standard which would allow a merchant to have a single integration with support for QR code payments, online payments, recurring payments, pre-authorization payments, and have access to all payment providers at the same time in Cambodia. So our solution, SSN, is a platform where a payment provider can provide a digital payment service to a merchant by authorizing a payment with a user and then recording that authorization onto our platform. The merchant can listen on the platform for transactions, and when they see a transaction, they can then provide service to a user based on the transaction and the authorization given in that. So what is SSN? SSN is a common public ledger platform. It is based on technology, based on blockchain technology. And it simply holds a record between two parties, most likely a payment service provider and a merchant, about the intent of having made a transaction. The key issue here is that records being done on SSN are immutable. Once they're being made, they can't be changed. So I can basically establish a trust ledger that everybody on that network can believe in without having to worry about the transaction might be missing or might get lost or might be changed. We have been developing this product for over a year, and of course there have been a lot of challenges and a lot of issues that we've been facing. However, if you're looking at the current situation in Cambodia, one of the most time-consuming issues is that we find is that whenever we have to implement a new payment provider or whenever we're working with a new partner, we need to start the integration all over again from step one by initiating a technical contact, setting up a business meeting, and then figuring out all the processes that go with that. On SSN, what we're trying to achieve is basically say, on SSN, you as a payment provider can come in, deploy your technical solution to make that work. We, as operator of SSN, will help you with documentation, with APIs and SDKs, and we will basically give you a solution as a payment provider where you can make a payment on SSN with less than 20 lines of codes. So we have developed a tech stack where you can exchange information with the merchant about what needs to be paid, how much needs to be paid, and for what service it is, and then sign and submit the transaction onto our network. The same thing is for merchants. Sabay Group has a lot of digital products, and we have in the past seen the problem that we have to reintegrate every one of our digital products again with the same payment provider. Now, moving on to a platform like SSN, we can basically develop one integration and then being able to use that same integration and simply changing the meaning of the transaction to send payments to all our products. So merchants can sign themselves up on SSN, which is basically simply a statement on SSN to say, I am represented on this network with this public key. It's nothing else. The merchant can then either do it themselves or hire a third party to provide the integration for them. So the PSP is freed up and their technical team can focus on improving the product and doesn't have to do merchant integration because a third party can do that integration for them. Once the merchant has integrated, they will then step forward and contact the PSP and says, I am ready on SSN, can we make a business relationship? So the relationship between a PSP and a merchant is still retained as a business relationship between two parties. SSN simply helps you to solve the technical integration and allows you to onboard merchants much, much faster because you can basically state that we as a payment service provider are connected on SSN. If you want to consume our services, please integrate on SSN, and then you can consume our services. Once you're done, apply to us, we approve your application, and we are in business. The KYC service is basically a function of the network where we use the same technology as we use for transactions, that we make transactions on the network digitally signed by the merchant that says, that's who I am, and we can have another signature by a third party that is being trusted to have done the KYC or eKYC, or perhaps the payment service provider wants to do it themselves as open for integration services. Okay, what can you actually do once you make that records? So as we said in the beginning, we are an open ledger, and SSN stands for Secure Settlement Network. And looking at what is happening on SSN, we basically have a record on SSN between two parties where a payment service provider says, a user has given me authorization to make a payment to you, and we have a receiver, which is the merchant, that has seen that statement on SSN and given service to the customer. The payment service provider doesn't actually make a payment on SSN, they simply make a record, the money remains with the payment service provider, but transactions being issued, because they're immutable, can be trusted by both parties. So we can use the records and the balances recorded on our network for settlement. And the way we can do that is, at the end of the settlement period, the merchant can simply return the balance they received from the payment provider and send it back to the payment provider, and the payment provider can receive the settlement and then act accordingly as per the agreement between the payment service provider and the merchant. Once the balance is being sent back to the payment service provider, the balance disappears because I basically have settled my account with them. So in theory, and hopefully soon in practice at Sabay, we can 100% automate the settlement process with our payment service providers by using SSN and the digital ledger, which is being secured, as a basis for settlement. What does SSN actually do? What kind of services we actually provide as a company with this product? We basically operating the core network as SSN. We maintain the common technical standard. We provide APIs to make it easier to interact between merchants. And we also develop documentations, SDKs, and we are providing a test network for integration. One of the key challenges that we've been looking at when we're talking about developing such a platform is how can we build a system that people can trust and that can operate without us being able to actually interfere in their operation. So, of course, we need to make money. So SSN has introduced a charge per transaction that we will levy on every transaction being made. However, it is built on a system whereby we can either allow everybody to make transactions or we can allow nobody to make transactions. So we have developed a system whereby we ourselves cannot block PSPs or merchants from participating on the network. So it is always between the PSP and the merchant to say that they want to do transactions, and there's nothing that we would do to stop that. Sabay has a lot of experience actually providing such platforms. We are also in the internet space where we also provide interconnectivities for ISPs. And we are doing this for 10 years with quite a good success. And hopefully we can also introduce a settlement layer that can help PSPs and merchants to interconnect with each other and being able, with one integration, to consume services from all payment service providers without having to go through this step and adding new payment service providers, which may take for one provider up to 6 months in our experience. So if you really want to receive digital payments from every wallet and every bank in Cambodia, we believe we have a solution for you to integrate with all of them. I thank you for your time, and I hope we can make new things happening together in Cambodia, and we can move digital payments forward and make them much, much smoother for everybody involved. Thank you very much.